test it. Okay.
Good morning and welcome to the January 25th meeting, regular meeting of the Town of Bethlehem Industrial Development Agency. It's 8:06 a.m. on Wednesday, January 25th, and after roll call, I will be able to confirm that we have a quorum here this morning. So since we're all at a table, why don't we go around, starting with you, Victor, and then Ted.
Victor Franco, present.
Ted DeBarbieri, live in person.
Dave Cadero, present.
Victoria Stores.
DeCallo.
We also have with us our Executive Director and Agency Counsel, Kate Hedgeman, and the Senior Economic Developer, John Taylor. I note that we have a quorum present of our members and officially open the meeting. I would also like to note that we have a vacancy on our 7-member board. We have sent a letter to the town board, whose role it is to interview candidates, make appointments, and they will be publishing an ad describing the kinds of backgrounds and interests, and we are certainly eager to have another member from the town. We should be seeing something on our website fairly soon as well. Also, our second order of business was going to be to welcome Georgette Steffens, our new member.
I made the mistake
morning.
of going past the middle school. I don't ever drive through town. I go straight downtown. So that was a big mistake. I apologize. Yeah.
Well, welcome, Georgette, adding you to the roll call, and we have an even larger quorum. Georgette is our newest member, and this is her first meeting, and we are very happy to have you here this morning.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as well.
So I was literally on item number 2, introduction of new members, and you walked in. So Georgette, if you would just take a minute and give us some of your background.
Oh, sure. So most of my career has been in economic development. I started my career at the Center for Economic Development back in the late 90s, so that ages me a little bit. And then I worked briefly for a construction company, and then went back to the city of Albany to do economic development, mostly focused on downtown. I ran a homeownership program for the city, trying to stabilize the neighborhoods there. And now I run the Downtown Albany Business Improvement District. So marketing, economic development, special events, and clean and safe stuff for downtown. I've been there for 14 years.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome. The next order of business is to approve the minutes of our regular meeting. Our last regular meeting was on October 26th, 2022, and the minutes of that meeting are in our packet. Are there any questions, discussion, or updates to the minutes from October? Okay, hearing none, I'll accept a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Victor. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstaining or opposed?
I'll abstain since I wasn't here.
Okay, thank you,
You
Georgette.
might have been, I think you were here, you just weren't on the board.
Right.
Yes.
I did attend. You're right.
Well, thank you. The motion passes to approve the minutes of the regular meeting in October. The next order of business is the financial report. Financial statements. This is typically given by Al Michaels, who is not with us this morning. Hold on 1 second.
He just chimed in.
Ah, wonderful.
Al, can you hear us?
He's on mute.
You're on mute, Al. Let's see if I can. Yes, there he is. There you are.
Okay.
Good morning, Al. We have just
Morning.
come to item number our agenda. So your timing is excellent. Thank you for joining us via Zoom.
Okay, I think the agenda called for the statements for October, November, and December. I wasn't sure if we wanted to do each one or if we just want to do December, since that encompasses everything that happened through October and through November.
I would
Sounds
recommend
good.
December. If members have questions about the other months, we can certainly come back to you.
We didn't have meetings, that's why those are on there.
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, the December, the year-end statements. We have on our statement of net assets, we have cash in our checking account of $460,097.90. Our CD and M&T was $751,986.25, giving us with total checking and savings of $1,212,084.15. We also had a fee receivable of $40,394.12. That's the 2-month estimate of the quarterly PSEG reimbursement for the quarter that is November, December, and then January. So our total current other assets are $40,394.12. Total, and our total assets are $1,252,478.27. My liabilities, the accrued expenses of $2,110. That's for the December services invoice that we got for our council. Our total liabilities are $2,110, giving us net assets of $1,250,368.27, and total liabilities and equity of $1,252,478.27. On our statement of revenue expenses, you can see we had a pretty good year. Fee income, a regular fee income was $696,123.22. Our PSEG energy reimbursement was $242,364.74, giving us total income of $938,487.96. Our contractual expenses were $125,938.35. Our business and economic development expenses were $4,000. Our total expenses were $129,938.35, giving us with ordinary income of $808,549.61. When you add back our interest income of $22,7017, we had net income for the year of $810,819.78. So you compare that to budget, how did that happen? Obviously, fee income was $643,379.22 higher than we budgeted. We had budgeted essentially just our regular annual fees and one closing. Our PSEG energy reimbursement was $172,364.74 above our budget, a function of PSEG being online with all of their facilities and with higher energy costs. On the expense side, our contractual expenses were $7,878.35 higher than budget. Our business and economic development expenditures were $2,000 higher than budget. So on the expense side, we are $9,878.35 over budget. Net income wise, we were $805,864.61 above budget. Our interest income was $1970.17 above what we budgeted. So for the year, we were $807,835.78 ahead of the budget. Obviously, the big items on the income side added to the fee income was the two projects that we assisted the Albany County IDA on with Plug Power and the CHPE. We did have the Burt Crane closing and then the Port of Albany closing. Does anybody have any questions on the statements? They are out at the auditors, and we're just coming down to the last one or two items with the auditors to finish up that work.
I don't have a question, but I want to recognize, looking at these numbers specifically and our income, the hard work that this board did in fall of 21 and especially throughout 2022, both for our cooperation with the Albany County IDA, which led, as Al said, to our participation in and receiving fees for the plug power and the CHPE projects. That was a major effort on the part of this organization and also a major fee revenue. Neither of those are repeating revenues. And I also want to thank the board for being very thorough but timely with our review and approval of the Port of Albany project, which is really brackets the town now with clean energy to the east and to the west. We're really proud of that. Hearing about that from people outside of this region and at conferences, and getting a little bit of national attention actually for the capital region of the town of Bethlehem about how well we can welcome businesses. But I also really want to thank Al and Dick for increasing our interest income. You guys made some decisions that we approved about how we are investing our non-operational funds, and that did improve our interest earnings in a very difficult short-term investment environment.
Not before that, just, walking into 2023, we should have over $20,000 in interest income, I would expect, which is a significant part of our budget. And as Victoria said, and Al said, it's a number of the items of revenue aren't replicating.
Mm-hmm.
So we really have to be prudent in how we reserve that, or otherwise, bring in some more projects, which hopefully, I don't know if we have any projects in the queue, but Kate will go through that. The only thing I have, Al, and I haven't had a chance to speak to the audit firm. Are they okay with our rev rec? I've been on that. I think there's a little bit of a change in here that they might. I don't know if they focused on that yet.
I think that's one of the items that they were looking, to finalize, but I so far, everything seems to be fine.
Okay, because I had sent a note and they said they were going to focus on it. And for all those who, revenue recognition, the rules, that's how you realize income. And over the past several years, the rules have changed significantly of how so we have projects that have multi-fee arrangements and go multiple terms. And sometimes you take the whole thing and allocate it across. Sometimes you earn pieces of it. So you really have to identify each piece of revenue and figure out what bucket that goes in. And quite frankly, there's a lot of training involved, which I haven't gone to because I retired.
But you know enough to be dangerous.
I know enough to identify the issue, and maybe I'm blowing smoke, but I don't think so. So there could be some adjustment there, but nothing that does anything but impacts the next year, and it still doesn't diminish the great year that we've had. Okay.
We will talk about getting the next audit committee scheduled a little farther down. So I know that as treasurer, you expect to be there, and we'll work on that.
Yeah, no, I'll be there.
All right. The next item on our agenda is number 5, communications. Kate?
We have none for the last 3 months, so we're good on that.
All right. Number 6, old business. Also project updates from Kate, and then a report from John.
Actually, it's probably should be under new business what we're going to talk about. But yesterday, I think it was, we took a call from a potential applicant for West Road, which is down next to the CSX rail yard. They're looking to do 125,000 square feet plus. They call it intermodal. I check my notes here. Intermodal logistics, because they're near the rail as well down there. Yes, intermodal logistics. They want to do a heavy manufacturing project. And right now, I think it's vacant land owned by someone else. They're going to purchase that. They're looking for sales tax, mortgage tax, and potentially a pilot for the program. Their investment is approximately $15 to $16 million range. So they're currently in front of the planning board, very recent application, so we don't have too much more information on that yet. So John and I just had initial chat with them about our application and what we would need to consider it when the time comes for them to, that they want to make an application. So that's one project that potentially is coming down the road. Everything else,
Can I just ask one quick
Sure.
question? Without going into any confidential details, would this be a new entity relocating to Bethlehem, or are we talking about expansion of something? Or?
No, so this is the developer that we spoke with. They still, working on identifying a tenant. So it could be a spec development, but something to work through. So it would be a new,
New construction project?
New construction, yes.
No definite tenant.
Correct.
usually with those projects, you have to, before you can really get people to commit, you have to own it, build it,
Right.
We did have a discussion about that
Mm-hmm.
with them, and at least for us, we would have to see what the potential jobs could be of the tenants that are there. We would have to see what other ancillary economic development benefits there are. Their thought process, I think, is that the tenants would relate probably fairly directly with what's going on at the port. So he did mention a few potential, but we didn't write down.
It's very preliminary at this stage.
Yeah. But I don't. They were very positive on. I don't think we're going to have a problem renting. They've had interest, I guess, is what it is. So that, unless you know of any other ones, but that's. Go ahead.
With interest rates increasing, is there a curve that tax exempt becomes interesting again? Or not, we're not there yet? Tax exempt financing.
Well, you'd need
You would know
a
that.
project that would qualify, though.
What?
You would need a project that would qualify for that, though.
And what would that be?
For us to be a pass-through issuer
Yeah.
Yeah,
for private activity. Depending on the costs and the credit, it's always attractive to do municipal bond financing, but yes, I would expect that the tax exemption associated with municipal bonds is more attractive when rates overall are higher.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think we haven't discussed it yet today, but, if we are going to invest in a GIS study and some other things with a potential, eye towards a specific project, that might be helpful employing it if it's a big project there.
Mhm.
So.
Okay, I was just curious if
Yeah.
we're reaching, if there was a economic analysis where it becomes attractive again. It wasn't attractive before
Right.
for anybody.
I'm glad that you bring that up for two reasons. One is that this IDA has not issued pass-through economic development funds for a very long time. And we may be in an environment where that does become more attractive. And so we have processes and council and all of that. It's certainly not new, even though we haven't done it for a while. The actual increase in costs of projects, what I'm seeing in the business is jumps in construction costs are, at least for some projects, at least as worrisome as the cost of the financing.
Mhm.
And you can bring, the cost of the financing down, borrow more cheaply for your construction costs if you're doing it tax exempt. But that's interesting because in some ways, if a project is looking at a pilot and tax exempt bonds, and they're entitled to ask for both, the tax exempt financing can be more meaningful depending on the capital expenditures for the project. And so should we get that kind of request, we will be looking very closely at numbers, which I happen to think would be really fun.
Because we're nerds here. And okay. So right now, that's the only.
Well, we have the
We haven't had the other,
Hamilton Lane, which is going before planning board in February. And then we're looking to schedule another call with one prospect also in the Selkirk rail yard area. But haven't had that call yet, and provide an update next month.
Yeah, and the 41 Hamilton, we did speak with them, but they haven't applied yet.
Right.
Something like that.
Yep.
And
So there's no pending application.
Correct.
No.
Right.
not right now.
But we do have a few in the queue.
And that's good news for finance.
Mhm.
Maybe not as stellar of a year as we had this year, but definitely fees coming into the organization, hopefully. Okay, so that kind of segues into you, John.
All right.
And about the web and the rolling out of the new email addresses.
Yeah. Great. Well, I'll start out with maybe the email addresses first. So I think everybody, should be set up. I know Georgia, I sent you some information recently, so we'll get you set up with the new email addresses. So I think after this meeting today, I'll send out another email, so it's kind of top of your inbox, just with the the link to where to log in. I know many of you have set it up on your iPhones, iPads, computers. Certainly reach out if you have any questions. Kate, I don't know if in terms of of timeline, do we want to start using those
Yes.
immediately now?
Yes, so I am set up, and so I'm going to make a concerted effort to send emails to all of you from the IDA. And that way, when you respond, it'll come back through the IDA system, our document, or our cloud, right?
Yeah.
And all the emails will be in the cloud there. So look for that. If you have any issues, John can help you set it up. Or if you find, I think yesterday, Victoria thought her email to me bounced back, but it didn't. I did get it. So we might have to work out some error messages, but I'd like to try to get everybody on board by February 1st.
Very good. So that's the emails. I wanted to just spend a couple minutes just walking through the new website, which is just about ready. I'll talk through a couple final pieces. Just two other points before we jump into that. I know I've mentioned our last meeting in the fall, the town had applied for a New York Forward grant for improvements along Delaware Avenue. We're still waiting to hear back on that. We thought it was going to be by the end of the year. Now we've heard maybe by the end of January. I suspect it's going to be later than that. So we'll certainly keep you posted on that. We're also, I'm working with Rob Leslie to put together our ideas and kind of scope out concepts for the use of the funds at the IDA allocated for economic development in the town. We're really excited about that opportunity, and we'll be working with Kate and Victoria and sharing those concepts with the full board as well soon. So that's a big focus for us at the moment. So I guess with that, let me pull up the website here. I'm going to share it so it's also on the.
Know about that.
Yeah, because they'll blast it out. that
Yeah,
we
they
have a
will.
New website.
And speaking of the chamber, Size Up is on here, I'm sure.
It is, yep. Mm-hmm.
Because we're continuing our co-sponsorship of the Size Up Small Business Development
Yes.
Business Development Tool, up to 500. Small business is much bigger than.
Yeah, so I actually created, and this is a little different from our current site, but I created, a separate tab really more for kind of small business resources, even though that's, right. So we have, the Size Up tool, as well as some information and links to the, micro enterprise grant, other New York State programs, loans. So there's quite a bit of information here.
The other question I wanted to ask is, I subscribe to a lot of other IDAs on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
So I didn't know, I would not recommend Facebook, but I didn't know if you wanted to do a LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, yeah. I was gonna say-
I get a lot of news that way.
Yeah.
The port is on. There's a lot of economic,
Yeah,
like county IDAs that I subscribe to, and they post their projects and I actually, people read them, like they've got a lot of, so I didn't know whether, we haven't done it in the past, it would be brand new. Because it's not that thing, it can go right to LinkedIn, so it's not like, we wouldn't necessarily.
So I've certainly talked about it with, with Rob Wesley, and we can, and I'll show it to David as well.
And then perhaps maybe, once we do that, maybe we can get some time and do a presentation for the town board to show them,
Sure.
as long as you're in favor.
Oh, no, that's a really positive way to go into the town board. It's been a while. They've
Yeah.
had such a busy year. This would be really set a positive tone.
Yeah.
And also and make sure that they're all
Yes.
involved in those.
Yes, and yes,
Yes.
right.
They get buy-in.
Yes, oh, absolutely. On LinkedIn, since we certainly have some support for looking into that, let's also consider the premium subscription so we can see who's visiting our webpage. That's, I think, $30 a month. And it may be worth it to see what kind of traffic we're getting.
On our LinkedIn
Yeah.
page, yeah.
The LinkedIn
Right, yeah,
pages.
And we do have, I should say too, on the website, you know, there's a pretty robust analytics tool, so we can look at, you know, traffic and see who's looking.
Off to a good start in the new year.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so item number 7, new business. I do want to make note that it's 8:46. The item number 5, the last item under new business is a resolution to approve renewing Kate's consulting agreement. So I do want to make sure we will still have a quorum for that. I'm not seeing anyone coming in saying, I'm sorry, I have a 9:15, so. But we do want to be mindful that we get to all of that. All right, so the first item under new business on the agenda is board manuals and nameplates. I've had a few conversations over the past couple of days, including with Kate, about how to accomplish this, and want to introduce a new item number 1 under new business, which is to confirm the composition of our committees with the board member changes. In 2022, we had, we implemented, everybody got committees.
Yeah.
Thank you. So there's a handout that will be included in the minutes, and I created this to show the top table is the committees as they were last recognized. That was in March of 2022. The names in italics have stepped down from the IDA that created vacancies on each committee. For the summer and fall of 2022, the composition of the acting committees were audit. We had Dave Cadera as chair. We didn't assign members because audit is something that happens basically January to March.
I want to say we met every day.
The governance committee was Dave Cadera chair, Dick Cotlow member, and when Victor Franco joined the board, he also joined the governance committee. And the finance committee, Dick Cotlow stepped in as chair. Victoria Stores, me, I stayed on as a member rather than chair, and Ted DiBarbieri joined us. So governance and finance have been filled since the fall of 2022. The last table is the proposed committees that we are going to ask for approval this morning, and then we will reconfirm those at the annual meeting or the March meeting as part of our ordinary system of appointments. The conversations that I've had are chiefly about the audit committee, because we had those 2 blanks. The audit is underway. I did speak with our auditor. You heard from Al. Dick is certainly fulfilling his role as treasurer. So nothing is interfering, nothing about the committee is slowing down the audit process in any way. But when the draft audit is provided, and we anticipate that to be the first week in February, we will want to have a full committee meeting to review that audit with the auditor, ask questions, request any adjustments, and make a recommendation about the board's final adoption of that in either February or March. And so for the audit committee, we have asked Georgette to join as her first committee. And Georgette certainly has a good deal of experience with audits and leadership, so I'm very happy that she agreed to join. We'll be asking the board to approve her membership on the committee. And we propose also to add me, Victoria Stores, as a member. and for Dave Cadera to stay on as a member that provides continuity. We would like to ask Georgette to step in as chair of the audit committee based on her experience. So questions, discussion?
My only question is, can we approve this pending the meeting so we can have the committees? Can we make a
Yes.
motion? Good.
So what we wanted to
Good.
do was have the motion and the meeting minutes today.
Good.
And then in the housekeeping resolution for your annual meeting, we'll redo everything for the year in that.
Okay. Can I make the motion?
Absolutely.
Make that motion. I motion that we approve the chair's recommended proposed committees for the year ended 12/31/23 as noted as presented.
Okay.
So
Let
that
Georgia
just-
have a chance to say anything.
No, I'm happy to participate.
Okay.
Just for the record, so that when we do the minutes, it's clear. The audit committee will be chaired by Georgette Steffens. Victoria Stores and David Cadera will be members. The governance committee is currently chaired and will be for at least the immediate future by Dave Cadera. Dick Kotlow and Victor Franco are members of the governance committee. And then the finance committee chaired by Dick Kotlow also has Victoria Stores and Ted DiBarbieri as members. So we have a motion to approve and we need a second.
All in favor of approving the motion to approve these committees? Aye. Any abstaining or opposed? Okay, the motion passes. Thank you. Not asking for a motion or vote this morning, but we have vacancies for both the vice chair and the secretary position. And again, this arises generally from the change in members and the introduction of new members. What I would like to see, and Dave and I talked about this, especially since he's passing on the chair of the audit committee, is to have Dave Cadera step in as vice chair. This would be something for the board, the full board, to approve at the next meeting. And I am happy to talk to anyone who would like to fulfill the secretary position.
One time we talked about making secretary treasurer, because that's not unusual since the secretary doesn't have a lot of responsibilities. But I don't have a problem not doing it.
Well, the reality is with the secretary position, and I believe I'm assistant secretary as well, we need somebody available to sign things if necessary. So seeing as, you know, you can handle a full workday and your duties as secretary, you probably would be a good person for that.
I nominate Dick. That's been seconded too. So.
No, it's not atypical.
Yeah, right. And that way, if something needs to be
You can
signed,
look around the corner.
yeah, or either one of us are unavailable, you certainly can go rogue and sign it yourself.
Well, you know, I had asked that we make these decisions at the next meeting, but if the board feels comfortable with this,
Then let's do it.
then
Yeah.
All right.
So David's vice chair.
It's fresh for the website.
Yes.
There we go.
rush for the website, great.
Yeah.
Well, I will move to appoint Dave Cadera as vice chair and Dick Kotlow as secretary, in addition to his continuing duties as treasurer.
Need a second?
Second.
Victor, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstaining? The motion passes. Thank you both for stepping up into officer positions.
I'm going after the finance chair now.
Oh, wait,
I just want you to know that.
You can have it.
Oh,
And we will reconfirm all of this in our housekeeping, as Kate said, but I'm very happy that the board was. Thank you, all members of the board, for taking care of this so smoothly this morning. And I will turn the other new business over to Kate.
Sure. So just a few things. I know we've got to move here. We are going to, now that we have the governance committee set, I'd like to move the public comment policy to a governance committee meeting. Hopefully we can schedule that in the future, along with, I think we really need to look at everything, bylaws, a lot of different things. So I want to schedule that, and then governance will deal with that piece and bring it back to the board once you've had a chance to look at that. For the performance measures and the operations and accomplishments, the performance measures first, we'll just take a quick look at. When the ABO had sent us a letter, they brought to my attention that on the website, we had a list of accomplishments that was posted for this, for goals. So we had the wrong document posted, and also we didn't have a goals measurement report at all in like 10 years. So I went ahead and I just sort of drafted something for your review and comment. This gets filed with the Paris report. It's part of that. And it also goes on our website. And, you know, I basically just highlighted six different things, you know, as our goals and for measurement. And I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add, if you wanted to change anything I've written there. You know, I just like to get this finalized next month because it will be part of Paris.
Yeah, we're looking at the 2022 authority mission and goals.
Yes.
Report, yeah.
The one thing I will need, and a lot of IDAs report on it, is the financial data. And I know Victoria and I want to take a look at number one, because that is with regard to projects and their value as well. But we do need financial information too for last year over this year. Just the growth of the agency, I think, is, you know, important to report as well. That, Al, you usually, was it Al or Tom that did operations and accomplishments?
Tom did it, and I would fill in whatever he, you know, data he needed.
Okay. I think I sent it to you, but I'm not sure. I did a draft.
Yeah, I can drop those numbers in and get them to you. Now
Perfect.
that we've got kind of good audit figures, I can give you those numbers with confidence.
Okay, perfect. So once these two documents, we fill in that data, we'll be recirculating them because we have to submit to Paris for your annual meeting. But I think it's important that this year, and I think even 2023 will have some great things to report, but we really focused on prioritizing transparency and accountability, not only in developing the new website and becoming compliant on the current one, but monitoring our projects and or, you know, doing the cost benefit tool that we were involved in and purchasing Size Up. We updated a couple of policies, including our fees and our UTEP. So that was a great move that will hopefully sustain the organization with income for a while. And then there's just sort of a list of our annual projects that we did this year, which included the plug power at Vista, the Port Commission for offshore wind. We did a couple splitter fee agreements at Vista as well. Those are kind of non-events, but it has to do with more development over there. We did a refinance for Think Enterprises. We participated in the CHPE transmission line, economic development cooperation agreement with other municipalities. And then, of course, we did close, I believe, just before the end of the year on Cannon Development, Burke Crane, finally for that project. We continue to attend Albany County Alliance quarterly meetings. And the plug power meetings really aren't being held weekly anymore, just because phase 2 is down the road. There isn't much to report on there. So those are the major ones. I'll get the financial data from Al, and I'll have that complete for the Paris report. So I just, sharing this with you, we'll approve the Paris report in its totality at the annual meeting or February meeting probably. But if anybody has any thoughts, additions, or edits to either of these documents, just let me know. Okay. We're finalizing the board manuals. We have binders for those. I wanted to wait till we finalize the new UTEP because we have to put that final document into the binders. So I'll bring those next time. Victoria and I discussed having nameplates. So, we very rarely have members of the public, but at least for the live stream that you can identify who people are. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to add on that. No? Okay.
It's not a big expense, and it would be helpful for people viewing the live stream.
So what I'll do there is I'll confirm everyone's name and how you want it, on there. Some of us use a middle of initial, some of us don't. So I'll confirm that with you via email.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
To consider?
Yep.
When you do the nameplates, have the name on both sides. Just so that,
So you don't forget your name?
I know my name, but somebody's behind me. But no, I just think it's a good idea to have it on both sides.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
good point, especially if we're in this room and there's people sitting around the edges.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
But you can put my name anything you want, I don't care.
Do you want assigned seats too?
Alphabetical.
My first name.
Oh, darn.
Okay, so the final thing that I have is I'd like to get a training scheduled. And I think it's important because, a lot of questions I get from the board as well. Once you've gone through the training that I usually do about every aspect of IDAs and every law that applies to us, you'll understand a lot of what goes on and why. So not only that, we've got a duty, the ABO requires you to continue your education and your training. So I did want to set that up. I think we can get through it, in a couple of hours. It doesn't have to be a full day thing, but I know Victoria wanted to sort of tie it in with a little of what planning, strategic vision. Yep. What did you have in mind for that?
I think about half an hour, 45-minute discussion, especially since we've welcomed so many new members, to hear from the board some responses to the town's comprehensive plan, what we are asked to do specifically in the comprehensive plan, and some ideas about the direction of the IDA and the kinds of things that we want to be accomplishing in 2023. So not a long discussion, but certainly an opportunity for us to talk about mission now that the town does have a comprehensive plan.
And I think it's a good time to, hopefully by then maybe John and Rob will have a better idea of what they'd like to do with the funds.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, we might have that as sort of a plan to talk about as well. So I know this is tough and it's getting everybody together at the same time, but what's the preference? Is it a morning? Is it an afternoon? Is it other IDAs sort of like that, 4 to 6:30 or 7, just because it doesn't take too much away from work and it's still early enough to get out? What are your thoughts of what you'd like to do for that?
My personal preference would be the mornings.
Okay. Yeah. Starting at 8.
8.
I'm into mornings too. If we could start at 9, that's a lot easier for me to make. It's harder. It's a challenge for me to make 8 once a month.
Compromise 8:30.
Yeah, no, I don't split the difference. No, so I can't, I do bus and school drop off, so shifting to get here at 8 is very difficult for me, so there's a specific reason.
I get it.
Yeah, you get it. Yeah, no, other people know too. So like 4 to 7 is horrible also, so like 9 to noon, I think I was an anti-Friday person in the fall. I can be available like Friday 9 because of my schedule changed, because responsibilities, but so, friendly,
Compromise.
well, yeah, so I mean, I don't know what other people's events or obligations are, but, 9 to noon, 9 to whatever, would, that works for, so.
Okay.
Let me stop talking.
No, I get it. Yep, for me, it's a specific day.
Okay. Fridays are generally good, it's a little slower, but that's just me. I know Mr. Cotlow's schedule is very busy, so what does that work for you if we do a 9 to noon? How about you, David?
Again, it depends on the day, if
Okay.
I'm in town.
All right. Let me throw some Fridays out there, and it is a one-time thing. I mean, it's not, and see if I can't bring us all together. I know you're away, so it'll be after that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This Friday's not good for me.
Okay. I think that's it.
Do you have a sense of what month or time frame you're looking at?
For doing it,
Yeah.
maybe by the end of February, beginning of March, I would think.
Beginning of March is better.
Okay. Yeah, the ESD conference, I think, is what, the 3rd, 4th, somewhere around there. So
Second.
maybe right after that, we
Yeah.
can do it.
Yeah, it might be the 1st and 2nd. I registered. I gave them money and it fell out of my hand.
Okay. All right, so back to you.
All right, thank you. So the last item under new business is the renewal of Kate's contract as executive director and agency counsel. Same terms that the board approved for our new members. Kate's work basically functions as an hourly rate with an annual cap of the fees. Kate is a consultant. She is not an employee of either the agency or the town. As a result, we do not offer, and she is not eligible through us for any state benefits. This is purely a consulting agreement. What we have and propose to continue for 2023 is a rate schedule. Legal, her actions as agency counsel, Kate has billed at $250 an hour under the 2022 contract. That's proposed to remain the same. I'm looking at Exhibit A. It's really the last page in the packet. When she takes actions as our executive director, that's a slightly lower fee of $150 per hour. And she has provided, from the original proposal, estimates of how that would break out over time. In action, Kate submits a bill, breaks it out, Dick and I review it, and we both approve, yes, this is appropriate for the activities conducted during the past month, and then authorize Al to make a payment. It's capped at $50,000 a year. Last year, because of a need to really revise how we keep our records, go through our records, and get everything cleaned up, the board also authorized additional funds for one of Kate's paralegals for documents and record keeping. And so that was specifically authorized. We have the ability, if something similar comes up in 2023, to do the same thing and access the staff of the Hedgeman Law Firm under her direction.
Al, I think we stayed within budget, if I'm correct, or very close to it.
Yes.
On the-
So are you looking for a motion to authorize you to enter
Just,
to execute the contract evidence.
I have a discussion item.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Should we make it multiple years? I mean, this is, so we don't have to go through this and someone somewhere down the line say we have to go out to bid or something.
I think that what I would recommend for right now is that we approve it for 1 year. What I would want to be able to revisit every year is not necessarily the scope and the term, the scope and the activities, but the hourly fee and the maximum cap I would anticipate changing, especially as we grow. And I don't want to lock any consultant into a 2-year contract at what becomes a below market rate.
Which it's already at.
So what we do have is, what we're doing right now is a 1-year contract with a 1-year renewal.
Okay, I just, I think, fine, it's not, we can revisit this.
Yeah.
Only, I just hate like to have somewhere down the line, in this window, someone says, well, this should go out to bid, which I don't think it should. But that way, if we have a multiple year, and we can work, we can tweak the fee and the language so that, you know, we have some wiggle room, I would think, but just something we can discuss in finance that maybe we want to look at a multiple year contract.
Yeah, I think that's a great first task for our new secretary.
I do too. What do I sign?
Well, you do have the annual meeting coming up too, but I think to Victoria's point, we have to cover the next 2 months and that's.
No, I understand.
So I just have an operational question, and maybe this is something that will be covered in the new member training, I don't know. But in terms of like, who authorizes the payments, who reviews and approves the invoice and summary statements, all of that type of thing.
Okay. Kate sends them to me as the chair and Dick as the treasurer. And both of us are generally more, Kate and I work together, we talk generally once a week. So I am able to say, yes, she did in fact undertake these tasks because I asked her to, is frequently the case, or the meetings. And Dick, you also conduct your review.
Yeah, yes.
And Al gets it as well. Gets a copy.
So we have 2 members who also happen to be officers who are looking at the individual action items.
Right. Yeah, because whenever I look at an agreement such as this, I always try to put it in a vacuum, you know? So extracting any personalities, any relationships, and looking into the future, if this was going to be established precedent, is there any types of safeguards or double checks or, you know, things in place in order to safeguard the organization? So that's the only reason why I ask it, for my own edification.
Right. No, it's a good question. And certainly if you want to bring that up at governance committee in terms of other internal controls and monitoring and performance evaluation, I think that's certainly a good place to start the conversation.
But I'm fine with this as it's written.
One thing that in prior, before Kate, we really had no accountability for the hours that the exec and the council was really charging. So now we have a contemporaneous
Yes.
record.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
And that's actually true because our retired executive director and agency counsel, Tom Connolly, who served for many years, became a direct employee of the town and didn't work on an hourly rate in terms of his relationship to the IDA. So with the contract with Kate, we are actually getting for the first time a sort of day-to-day look at what the tasks of the executive director are, what are the demands on her time, and how she's fulfilling that. Go ahead.
And I guess just one more point of inquiry. So in the second page, under payments for services, it says invoices shall be paid on a net 10 basis. What is that term? I'm not familiar with that.
So when I send the bill, they have 10 days to review and pay it. And generally speaking, I never have a problem with that. And even if it goes beyond that, I can't say it doesn't matter, but it's just a goal.
Okay.
You know, it's the terms of the payment for services.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good. Thank you.
Those are good questions, and thank you for asking. So before I ask for a motion, Victor, since you brought up, how this ties to performance, we have the board evaluation that everyone will be receiving.
Which we sent.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh, just a reminder, yeah, and I know email has been crazy, but you have that and you have the board evaluation as well. The board one goes to the ABO, so what I'd like to do, and I think what Tom has done previously is we take the board self-evaluation, right, and we tally it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that usually comes to the governance committee. I'll
Yeah.
tally it up. We'll have a sort of master evaluation document, which is what I think gets sent to the ABO since it is a confidential.
Well, you
Share
asked
that
her
with the
to send
board?
to you.
Yes, yes. We'll have
Yeah, I'm
it.
gonna get him to Dave.
Okay.
And
That was
I
easier.
will make the presentation at probably the March meeting, I think. Since I try for February if we can get everything back in
Yeah.
time. But, yeah, I'll tally it and I'll sort of give a little presentation comparing the evaluation, our own evaluation of ourselves as a board compared to last year's evaluation, see where we've improved, where we've changed our opinions on things. Some of it is, again, the direct result of what turnover in board or, things like that. So that'll all be presented to you, and then the final document goes and gets posted on the website, sent to the ABO, and it's an anonymous kind of just summary of the individual evaluations.
Okay.
So your particular evaluation or comments would never be made public.
And that's for 2022. So Georgette, you're off the hook for that one.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
emailed with Kate about it. I
Yeah.
said, I don't think, I don't really know how to answer some of these. I did it in my other position, I just sent mine back in. but-
Do you accept prorated responses?
Right.
Well, you're bringing me to the second point in 2022, and this is to your point about, monitoring the performance of our consultant. The governance committee proposed and we adopted a performance evaluation system for the executive director. And we do want to implement that. Dave, do you want to say a word or two?
Yes, I mean, again, it's a requirement of the ABO that we do, or actually have our own bylaws, I think, that we conduct an evaluation of the executive director every year. We had not done that previously to this year. And we as a board adopted a sort of an evaluation document and a policy. And then subsequent to that, we again have had sort of a large turnover in staff. And there are only 3 of us who served as board members for the entire year, which is the evaluation period. So we have to sort of think about, again, whether we suspend something or whether the 3 of us just do an evaluation if the rest of the board is comfortable with that. And then those are just sort of probably should reassess scope of services and things that are specifically to evaluate the executive contract and the requirements of the position. 3 of us, I think, can complete. Feel comfortable, not have service. If you want to participate, go ahead and do it. Not qualified.
No, I'm
Something like
definitely
that,
going to
fine.
participate.
Yeah,
I'm just
okay.
going to put an asterisk,
Yeah, that's
as
fine,
of-
that's fine.
Yeah.
And then again, I think the process is that, again, that comes to the governance committee, we have to evaluate it. And then I think that the policy is that Victoria is the chair, and me as the chair of the governance committee, and anyone else wanting to participate will then have a formal meeting with Kate, go over the evaluation. Probably in an executive session of some kind.
Yeah, and I assume this is an annual exercise, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So is there any thought of possibly making it a requirement upon resignation of a board member that they have to fill these documents out as kind of like an exit interview before they depart the board? So that this way at least you have, and of course, I'm not saying going backwards, but going forward, it might be a good tool to kind of capture the thoughts or input of a departing member, and especially if they're departing on bad terms, they might have a different view on things than I don't know. So just an idea. I'm just throwing it out there. We can discuss this in committee further, but
I because of the turnover last year, I did have conversations with each of the members who departed, and all were on good terms, all for very different reasons. But I like that idea. I think it's important for us to get that feedback when people do step down and to hear from them. So that's certainly something that we can talk about, asking for, a voluntary conversation with other than just me, so that more people can hear it.
Are you talking about just the executive director evaluation or the overall self-evaluation of the board?
yeah, I would say both.
Because I think
If
we may have to change our policy, because I think the evaluation of the board is done by the sitting members at the time of the fiscal year and these kind of things. So we could just basically say that may have to be sort of a voluntary exercise,
right.
as opposed to a sort of an ABO compliant kind of exercise.
I see. Yeah, and even if it's like a supplemental document,
Right.
something to the side, I could see there might be real value in having input.
Yes. Yeah, but honestly, Victor, and heaven forbid we have anyone else step down soon. I think we're starting 2023 with a very strong board. I anticipate we're going to have another strong person appointed by the town board to join us. In the next couple of months, I think they're paying a lot more attention to us and understand the value and the quality of this board. But please, let's all be here again for a few months.
Absolutely.
Just make it the training.
Yeah.
What?
Okay, we have accomplished a lot this
We didn't
morning.
approve the contract.
So we have one more thing to accomplish. A motion to approve the form of the contract and the terms with the Hedgeman Law Firm for another year.
I so moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstaining or opposed? The motion passes. Thank you, Kate.
Congratulations.
No, thanks.
For being below market.
Any other business, anything that got left off in this very productive meeting?
I just said, everybody did get the board self-evaluation now.
Yes.
Okay, right, so just email that to me. And then
Do you have a deadline?
I think you said February
First.
1, I
Yeah.
think, so. I know that the front end of February, I'm kind of busy for me, so the sooner we can get it, try and have it ready for the February.
It's just a check box.
Yeah,
It's easier,
But you can go online and
Hard
just,
copy? Yeah.
you can go online, it's a self-editing, you can kind of enter the.
I sent
right
a
under
Word doc. You literally can just put X's or if you
I
want.
can't.
And you also said PDFs as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But then the executive director evaluation, that has not been distributed.
Yeah.
Correct, or was that?
No, I did send
You
it,
did,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what I did.
and asked for a return by February 1st.
Okay.
That's the goal,
There's no committee meetings have been scheduled as of.
No, I mean, I think, when do we want to do governance? The end of February or beginning?
Yeah, it would have to probably be the back half of February with that. If that works. Because I'm gonna, at the moment, I'm planning on not being here for potentially the end of next week, right through about February 13th, 14th, so.
So the audit committee will convene when you're back
Okay,
from that.
okay.
So it looks like based on the meeting dates, you moved the one from the 22nd to the 15th. Is that correct?
Say it again?
The February meeting is on the 15th instead of the 22nd?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Originally, I didn't think I was gonna be here on the 22nd because kids are off for
Right.
school. But I will be, so it will be on the regular February 22nd.
Oh, okay.
So that gives us a little more time for committees.
That actually
I'm
works.
glad I didn't put it on my calendar.
Yes.
So we'll want the minutes to reflect that adjusted date and also the website.
Do that.
Okay.
So for governance, David, did you want to send me some dates at the end of February, or how do you want to?
Well, let's see. If we're meeting, you said now on February 22nd, right? I'll be here the 16th, 17th, if you want to meet at that point.
What about the 17th, which is a Friday?
That works for me.
I just want to check my calendar when I get back.
Okay, we'll try 8.
But the 15th is, even then, I had blocked out the 15th for the IDA meeting, so the
Oh,
15th,
okay.
15th is even a possibility then, I suppose.
Okay, 15,
So we have
15th or 17th was one.
which do you prefer? Friday?
Yeah, I would prefer Friday. if
So it'll be the
possible.
17th at 8 a.m.
17th at 8. I'll check my calendar. I think it's okay.
Okay, and that'll be the governance committee.
Yes.
We're looking at similar dates as Georgette just mentioned for audit.
So if you wanted to do the 15th at,
The 15th or 16th would work.
yeah, 9 o'clock is also better for me than 8 o'clock, but,
I'm retired.
okay. I could do the 15th at 9 for an audit committee.
That works, because I had blocked off anyway.
Okay.
I'll notice
Okay.
I'll
those.
put that on my calendar too.
You have to see if we can get this.
That's what I was gonna say, if you can just,
So you want to do that at 9?
We would meet here in this room.
Yes,
Okay.
hopefully. John will check that. 'cause
Yeah.
If not, we'll definitely find an alternative.
yeah,
Yeah, one of the reasons we invested in the OWL system is so that we can move. Otherwise, we were restricted to the town auditorium for every single one of our meetings. So this has made it easier for us to select locations.
for committee meetings, if this room's not open, 214 should be open, which is a fine size for committee.
And then the 17th, if we do that, that's 8 o'clock.
Yeah, correct.
Well, we really just need internet access. We can be anywhere,
Correct.
in my house.
Well, it is public. If you want to, notice and have everyone come into your
Lawn chairs.
house.
Yeah, no wood.
Kate's patio
Keep
before
the
it
door
slides
open,
into the ravine.
Yeah, feel okay.
That's right. All right,
Yes,
good. We got a lot accomplished. Congratulations.
yeah, thank you so much. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Georgette, thank you. Victor, thank you. All in favor of adjourning?
Adjourn.
9:20.
Aye.
Any abstaining or opposing? Adjournment. Okay, 9:28 a.m. The January 25th meeting of the Bethlehem IDA is adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you later.
Thank you.